Welcome back to Top Shelf EDU. I'm your host, Aaron Lee. Our guest today is Cecilia Velasco, who is the Admissions and Educational Counselor in the region of Canada for Glion Institute of Higher Education in Les Roches. Welcome, Cecilia.
Hi, Aaron. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, thanks for joining. So, for students who are hearing about these schools for the first time, can you introduce each school?
Sure. So, Glion, the Institute of Higher Education, it is a prestige school that has been open for over 73 years now. So, it has been on for a long time. And it specializes in international business and in hospitality. It is originally founded in Switzerland and has expanded also to the United Kingdom in London. The programs that are offered at Glion are in the undergraduate level and the postgraduate. In the undergraduate, we have two bachelors. One is in international hospitality business, and the other one is in luxury business. Our master's programs are more specialized towards the luxury brand management, corporate management in the kind of in the high end towards banking and insurance companies and things like that. So it has a specific kind of niche in the international business industry. And then Les Roches, it is a global hospitality management school. Also, its original campus is in Switzerland, in a different location from Glion. And it's also has just recently had their 70th birthday last year. And La Roche specializes more in global hospitality management. The undergraduate is one of them is global hospitality management, the Bachelor of Science, and a Bachelor of Science in sports business management. We also have at La Roche other master's programs also in the hotel management, hospitality management, resort management, and entrepreneurship. So even though they are both coming from a hospitality cradle, they both have their own specializations or their own focus depending on the teaching model that they offer.
Yeah, that's some great information for our listeners. And how would you describe the academic experience across the two? Especially in their first year, what does that year look like for students at each school in terms of their classes and maybe how things are taught, whether it's lecture, whether it's hands on? Can you speak about that for a little bit?
Yes, I'm going to kind of generalize a little bit about the teaching methodology that we follow. They have their own little, exceptions and kind of ways of doing things, and we can talk about those just after I present to you the academic focus or the academic methodology. It is a very hands-on. Both schools are very hands-on. In the first year, we call it the experiential year, and it is 2 semesters. The first semester is everything about practical arts, about hands-on experience, where the students get the opportunity to get into the kitchen, into the food and beverage side of hospitality, into the front desk kind of face to face with people, the customers who come to different businesses, from the housekeeping perspective, right? So they are going to learn all these different activities. And right after those first weeks, they are going to be ready to go out into an internship. So the school will help them to find the right internship somewhere around the world. These are international internships. And the students are going to go and practice all of these different skills that they learn in the first semester right into the field to go and practice. And why is it important that our students get that full hands on doing everything that is needed from the entry level position? Because the idea is that by the time that they graduate 4 years after, they will have already completed that activity of an entry level position, right? They know how to greet a customer, they know how to check them in, they know how to serve a table, serve an event. But then they don't have to manage that anymore. They don't have to do that anymore. And then by the time they graduate, between the three different internships that they will complete through the program, they will have already a year and a half of work experience, and they can go into more managerial positions when they graduate, and they don't have to start from that entry level. And every leader has to know how to lead by doing. They need to teach other people what they are supposed to do by themselves knowing how to do it. So it is very important, very formative, and very humbling to kind of go over all those different roles in order to advance in their career. So everybody in the first year, they do the hands-on experience, the practical arts, but then later on, we're going to be a very uh, project based. So lecturers and professors are going to come with different projects. They are going to be more like facilitators of these different activities. Lecturers are going to come and present real life projects that are, working on, and that, they want the input of students, so they will get them their activities to get them to solve those projects that they bring to the classroom. So it's a very also project oriented, critical thinking, working in teams, managing their time. So, learning all about this by participating in these business courses.
That's really interesting. I didn't realize that they started right away. And that's really important for students, as you mentioned, to build the skills. And also, when you graduate from either school, you have the chance to go into the managerial position instead of just the starting out. So that's something for students to consider as well. I wasn't aware of that. So thank you for all of that.
Of course. Yes, yes, of course.
And now with Glion and Les Roches, they both have international campuses. How do the campus experience differ depending on the location? How would you describe the student culture at each school?
Of course. So let's start with Les Roches now for a change. So Les Roches has three campuses. The first one is in Crans, Montana, which is a ski resort area in the Alps in Switzerland, in the French side of Switzerland. It is something for those listeners that are familiar with Whistler. It's something like that, right? So it's up in the Alps, surrounded by mountains. Most of the year has snow. So for those skiers, they have a lot of snow activities and skiing activities during the year for many months. And it works as a village. So the campus has different buildings in a village called Bluche. So the campus, you walk towards the main campus, and you walk to your accommodations are there, and the restaurant. So it's like a little village that you share with other residents of the Crans Montana area. As I said, it's a ski resort, a very high end ski resort where they receive visitors from all around the world. It is very well known in Europe ski resort. So there's a lot of potential internships in that area as well if people wants to stay there for their internship. The second campus that La Roche has is in Spain, in Marbella. So that is in the southern part of Spain, in the Costa del Sol region, very close to Malaga, 20 minutes away from Malaga. Malaga, as you probably know, or if you don't, I'll share with you that Spain is the second destination in Europe for tourism. And within Spain, Malaga is also the second destination. There's a lot of sunny beaches. It is great. The location is very close to France as well, and it's very well connected with the rest of Europe and the UK and Africa and Asia. So they get a lot of tourism in that region. That's why the campus has been there for over 35 years now. And it is a beautiful location as well. If you don't like as much as the cold and the snow from Switzerland, then you can spend sunny days and warm days by the beach in Marbella. There's also a lot of opportunities for internships in Spain, and specifically in the Costa del Sol region. Now, the third campus, and as you can see, they are all very strategically located towards tourism and towards hospitality. The third one, who was recently opened a couple of years ago, it's going to be 3 years, is in Abu Dhabi. So in the Middle East, for because there's so much growth in terms of tourism and traveling and businesses settling their corporate offices in the Middle East, that Abu Dhabi is it's a great place to also connect the Middle East with hospitality. And there's a boom up until, things are getting a little bit um, um, sensitive and difficult at the moment, but it is still, a very important hub for corporate businesses, sports, tourism, digital companies that are settling in the Middle East. So our third campus for La Roche is in Abu Dhabi, and also there's a lot of opportunities for students to do their internships there. The good thing about this, having three campus as part of the main school, is that students can, switch to a different campus and have a more international experience when they complete their program. They can do one semester or 2 semesters in Switzerland and then move to Spain, or start in Spain and then move to Abu Dhabi. So they have that mobility opportunity. So if they choose a different location during their program, one or two different locations, or even three, but let's say two, and then they have three internships, so three different international experiences, then by the time they graduate, they have lived in five different locations around the world, which is going to really make them citizens of the world. They're going to develop those skills that are going to help them become much more aware of different cultures, much more aware of the world, and be adaptable to a different environments. Right. So, well, let's go now with Glion, and then we'll talk in conjunction about the student life. Glion has two well, mainly three campuses. Two in Switzerland. The main campus is in Montreux. Montreux, it's a city that it's overlooking Lake Geneva. So it's a small location around Lake Geneva. Lake Geneva is a huge lake where many cities are located around it. It is very well connected with France, with Italy, with Spain. It is they have a very good train system, so students can go and spend a weekend in Milan while they are studying in Montreux. They are extremely well connected and very short distance from many important cities. The location in Montreux, the campus, is a chateau, and chateau that where the school actually started, and from there it has evolved to other campuses. So the main campus, the one with practical arts and the one that master students do their studies, is in that chateau that overlooks Lake Geneva. That it's very prominent in our website. If the students want to go and visit that. We also have a campus in Buhl, which is in the Gruyere area, so where the Gruyere cheese is made in Switzerland, and that campus is a more university campus looking, right? It has their main academic building, their main dorm building, their different outlets for food, and their outlets for the gym and all the different areas. And it's it's a small city, smaller than Montreux, but it's very convenient because people walk around. There's also a lot of headquarters for different companies, like watches are made there. Philips company is there. So a lot of important headquarters for banks, different producers of Swiss products are there. So it's a very important hub as well for the international business and hospitality. And the third campus that Glion has is in the UK, in London. So if students are more in the business sector, they are interested in more in the finance kind of things more than hospitality, London is a good place for them, location for students to kind of get that international business experience academically, and then have the opportunity to work in the financial sector or in the luxury brand sector in London. So for those students that are also looking to London as one place that they would like to experience school and work, London it's a great experience. So depending on the goals and the likes of and the preferences, right? And the student life. We have, because we are small schools, we are very unique in the way that we choose the students, and we attract students that are pretty unique and pretty looking into a niche experience and a boutique like experience when we're talking about their education. So students, we have about 3,000 students, And they are not all of them at the same time in campus, right? Some students are in internships, some students are taking a semester abroad in a different. So there's a lot of mobility, and they become like big families, which they do things together. A number of different clubs in the sports, in the arts sectors, and also traveling. So there's a club for everything. So if somebody wants to play volleyball, there's a club for that. If somebody wants to paint or to practice photography, there's a club for that. But there's also clubs that promote traveling. So if they want to see an art exhibition in Paris or in Milan, they also organize those kind of excursions. Or if they like the outdoors and they want to do hiking, or they want to do sailing, or they want to do, different things, there's always a club for the different interests. And if there is not a club that you are interested on, you are invited to start that club, getting a few people to join you, find out what are the materials and the tools and the equipment that you need, and they will help you to get that club going. So it's a lot of things going on after school, given that everybody lives in the campus, so they spend a lot of time together, and they are always active and having something to do.
Wow, that was fantastic. There's so many opportunities outside of the classroom and within the school as well, whether it's traveling, whether it's joining a club or a sport, sightseeing. There's just so many opportunities for students. So that's fantastic. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
We're going to move into the admissions process. So, if a student is wanting to apply to each school, what are you looking for? Grades? Are you looking for experiences? Are there essays involved, interviews, or recommendation letters part of the application process? Can you kind of walk us through where students would apply, whether it's through the website, and how they apply, and kind of walk us through behind the scenes of that application if you could?
Of course, yes. So yeah, so the application process is fully online. So students can go on the website for either of the schools that they think that they should apply to. And I would like to, after we talk about the admission process, I would like to talk about the personalities or the spirits of the school, so that students can really imagine what school would be the better fit for them. Correct? So, in terms of the admission process, which is very similar for both schools, it's independent. So, if they want to apply, if students want to apply to both schools, they need to do a separate application process, but it's very, very similar. So, they can either go online and request more information or request to apply, start their online profile, or they can contact me. It is either or. If they come from Canada, they are going to end up on my desk. So doesn't matter if they connect with me directly or they come through the website. The first thing that students need to work on is on the application form itself, which is going to ask them about their education, about where they are from, who are their parents, what is their emergency contact, if they have any medical concerns or issues that we have to know about in terms of any medical, but also any in terms of their learning capabilities or learning differences. That is, there's a space for that. Their education, their activities, what they like doing. So to get to know them a little bit better, they have to submit a well prepared CV. So if they haven't written one, and they can talk to their counselors, or I can help them with with rewriting their CV, where it's going to talk about their education and their skills and their extracurricular activities. It is, we look at grades, but it is not the whole thing that we look at. We are looking for students that are, in the 80% of average GPA, but we are going to look more. If there's somebody that is lower than that, we are going to look at what they bring to the school in terms of their extracurricular activities and extracurricular interest, right? So we are going to look for a well-rounded student that that pays attention to their grades, to the schooling, but it's also involving their community, or they're also excel in some kind of sport or art, or volunteering, or a leadership skill that they have. So we look at their personalities, personality traits, and their personality itself, to see if the schools are going to be a good fit for the students. So with a CV, with a letter of recommendation, from a professor, from a coach, or from a counselor. They should include that in their application process. Of course, a copy of their passport, their transcripts. If they haven't graduated yet, their provisional transcripts, and the high school diploma will come later. We're also going to need a motivation essay that is part of the application form. So it is a 300-word essay where they are going to present themselves and what they like about hospitality, or why they would like to get into a hospitality program, and what is that they bring to the table in terms of how the school will, they are going to become assets of the school. And they also are going to go through an interview, not necessarily with me. I don't do the interviews. It is more the regional director in the Americas, or a faculty member from the campus where they are applying, who is going to conduct that interview. And that is pretty much to know their personality. We're looking for people that are, doesn't need necessarily to be extrovert, but that are eager to meet other people from other countries, to be a people's person, that have that, attitude of service, that want to provide some kind of solution to problems, that are, outgoing, and that curious about the world and to different environments. We want to see that in the students that apply to the schools. um, then after that is concluded, so after the student completes the application process, submits their essay, then we schedule the interview, which can be a week after or 2 weeks after the actual submission of the application form. They have to, in order to do that interview, they have to complete an assignment that is going to ask them about previous experiences in hospitality, or previous experiences where they can demonstrate any kind of leadership skill, or any kind of community, being in around community and solving some kind of problem, right? So just to get to know them a little bit better, then they conduct the interview, and after couple of weeks they can expect to get an offer from the school. With that offer, they decide if they want to accept the offer by paying a deposit, and after that they will get the acceptance package, which is going to help them and walk them through the process, and with my help, of getting their student visa. Usually, students that have a Canadian passport, or a passport that is not from the EU group, or the EU community, the European Union community, they need to get a student visa from the consulate of the country that they are applying as the first campus where they go, either Switzerland, Spain, or the Emirates. Yeah, and after that, they are, welcome as part of the the new students at the campus, and they will walk them until it's time to get to the school with all the information. We provide them all the information about what to pack, what to bring, how to meet other people that are coming in the same cohort from different parts of the world. We put them in a WhatsApp group. They start interacting. We have webinars that will welcome them to the campus from afar, and then kind of get them engaged and excited to come to the school. Right?
Well, yeah, thank you for being so thorough with that. Not having a hospitality experience is not going to hurt students when they apply, but they will have to demonstrate either their leadership and their skills within customer service or service itself. And in terms of helping students adjust, it seems like you have such a wraparound support to help students before they even step on campus, which is fantastic.
Completely, yes. And because all our students are international, we don't have one nationality that is the majority or the predominant in the campus. We have students from 100 different nationalities. So everybody's an international student. Everybody comes with the same fears of being away from home, of being lonely, of not having any friends. So we try with the summer before they come, or the months prior to their arrival, to make them feel more comfortable, to get to know people either online, through the WhatsApp, through Instagram, through the webinar, so that they feel more comfortable and more confident that their arrival is going to be a smooth arrival. And they can even meet their roommates beforehand online, or however, depending on where are in the world. But we put them in touch with the roommates so that they can start developing some kind of relationship that will help them to adjust better to the campus life.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, for all you listeners, before you show up on campus, you will be introduced to your roommate. You will have a full set of plans in place, including what to pack, which is much different when you show up on many other university campuses. Now, when a student does show up on on the first day or even the first week, what can they expect at each campus in terms of, are there any traditions? Are there any events that help students further engage with each other and meet?
Yeah, of course. So usually they welcome, there's an official arrival date. So usually it's the day that everybody arrives. I mean, unless people want to arrive early and then get directly to the campus themselves, if they come with their parents or they come by themselves. But we welcome them at the airport or the train station, and we take them to the campus if they don't arrive by themselves. And of course, it is a business program, but it's a hospitality school. So you can expect, you know, big celebrations for welcoming students, cocktails, welcome dinners, any kind of activities that will help them to adapt and adjust to their new environment. I mean, it would be difficult to describe all the different events, but they are so event oriented. Like you can expect like something like an inaugural celebration at any given sports events or musical events. So they have catering and they have drinks to offer them and they have so many things to show them around, presentations of what they are supposed to do and how to get their cell phone and how to get their bank account and how to join the app for the school and how to security if they feel, if they are lost or if they lose their train or all that information to help them feel comfortable and get to know the different things that are the way that things are done in a different country and a different city for everybody to know. English is the language of instruction and the kind of the common denominator at the school. Even if they come from so many different languages backgrounds, English is going to be the minimum that somebody has to as a language tool.
Okay, that's because I was actually going to ask in terms of, do most people speak English, and is it the upper year students that are putting that on for when students come on, like the.
Yeah, it is usually students from higher years that come together. Yes, there's the students that are in those semesters that have to prepare, or they are into event management or the food and beverage, or any kind of courses. They are the ones that are putting up all those events for the welcoming and for some there are some parents that come to drop off their kids, so we have a specific session and a specific event for parents to reassure them that they are going to be safe, that they are going to have, you know, for the youngest students, for the first year, there's going to be some kind of curfew for them to get to their dorm so that parents have that, they feel comfortable leaving their students at the campus, their kids.
That's great. Can you talk about the tuition at each school, and are there any scholarships or financial aid, especially for international students?
Yeah, well, as I told you, all the students are international, right? So you can you can expect that for everybody. I mean, there's not a domestic price and an international price. It's going to be just one cost for everybody. But we do have scholarships. We have different types of scholarships. So if a student comes with an IB diploma with a grade like 30 points and above, they are going to receive a scholarship that is going to be for their entire program. We have merit-based scholarships. So if we have students that come with great grades with a great GPA, they can apply for a merit scholarship. But also student that has been very strong in a sport or in an arts activity, and they have competed playing the piano in some sort of international competition. Those students can also aim to apply for a merit scholarship, even if it's not grades based, if it's more their extracurricular activities. And we also have financial aid scholarships. It is not based on, because students come from so many different backgrounds, that it's not based on who's going to need it the most, but who is requiring some additional support in terms of their financial. Of course, they are expensive schools. They are private schools, and it is they don't cover those scholarships. They don't cover the complete tuition, but they certainly help to reduce the cost for parents. Also, as a strategy to reduce the cost, students can move to a different campus. Right, the tuition is based on the cost of living of each place. So, as we all know, Switzerland could be a bit more expensive than most of the countries. Just the cost of living there, it's high. So students can choose to go to Spain, or at least start in Spain and then go to Switzerland, or the other way around. And also, Abu Dhabi tends to be much more affordable in terms of the full cost of tuition. So they change from campus to campus. You can expect to spend about $50,000, 50,000 Swiss francs in Switzerland. However, that cost is going to include your tuition, your insurances, or your academic material, but also your accommodation and your meals. So when you kind of look at that, it could be comparable to a university in the States, correct? It's not going to be comparable to a Canadian's university, but could be comparable to an international, an American school. In Spain, you can expect to spend about 38,000 euros. So it's different, as you can see, it's 50k Swiss francs versus 38 thousand euros. And in Abu Dhabi, you can expect to spend 35 American dollars, 35,000 American dollars. So changes a lot from location to location. And some students kind of use the international strategy both ways, right? To get a much more international experience, and also to kind of make costs more affordable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you for that. And in terms of like where they live, are they living in apartments? Is it like a residence like you would typically see at a university? And does it differ between the different campuses?
Yes, it is. Well, it's similar at the campus. Of course, they have their own style, but yeah, you can expect dorms as any university. The difference that students can choose to live to have a single room accommodation, or to share it with a roommate. Also, that changes in the cost. But some students, I mean, and my suggestion for first year students is to choose as a double room accommodation, because that person who's going to be your roommate, and they kind of match you with somebody that has similar lifestyles like you, but it's going to be your first person that you know at the campus, right? So they can become to be very good friends for life, and that is a very good way to feel like you have a buddy as soon as you get to the school. So they have the double accommodation, the single room accommodation. All the meals are offered at the campus 7 days a week. So even if the school is only having classes from Monday to Friday, still the restaurants at the school are open 7 days a week. And there's different food outlets that they can choose to go depending on, their interest, their desire, who they are joining, the amount of time that they have. Some students need to really rush, so they go grab something and go to class. But some people would like to sit at a, nicer sitting table and enjoy their meal. So depends on what's the preference of the student. But being at a hospitality school, you can expect to eat very, very good, and to expect a very good service, no matter what kind of dining you choose.
Yes, absolutely. And it's nice that the residence is included in the price where a lot of times it's on top of the tuition. And that's something that people might not necessarily think about when they start thinking about which schools they're going to apply to. So for all you listeners, please know that the price does include the residence as well.
Yeah, and another factor that they have to consider when they are comparing tuition fees between different schools is that because we are a 4 year program, so 8 semesters, and 3 out of those 8 semesters are internships, paid internships, sponsors or parents only have to pay for 5 academic semesters. So the cost load goes down to only having to pay for 2 years and a half of tuition fees compared to having a 4-year program. So that is also something that I like to explain to parents, because when you compare apples to apples, you need to put put on the whole picture. It can seem to be very expensive, yes, but you are only paying for 5 semesters out of the 4 years. Students are getting paid for their internships, and the accommodation and the meals are included. So yeah, that makes it a little bit less expensive to the view.
Yeah, and thanks for adding that in the context because that's definitely something that families should know and can take into their considerations for sure. Now, if a student is deciding between Glion or La Roche, what are the key differences that they should consider? And is one better fit for either career goals or personality types?
Yes, and thank you for that question. I think that is one of the most important questions in terms of how to choose the right school for a student. So let's say that, and the way that I like to presenting both schools is that Glion, it is a more corporate oriented, more luxury oriented, and a little, I mean, it is ideal for students that like structure, that will like more organized kind of type in terms of the way that they learn things, and more methodical. So students that thrive in very organized classrooms or structure, and they like everything, to be kind of in a contained and structure parameter, that could be a good option for those students, or students that are very more much into finance or more into the corporate world in terms of banking or terms of luxury brand companies. I would say Glion is a little bit more towards that focus. However, somebody that comes with, that it's not so, that doesn't thrive as much into the structure, but would like to live in Montreal or go to London, then there's another factor to consider. I would say Les Roches, it is a little, it is a more oriented to entrepreneurship, more oriented to digital technologies, more oriented to a more free spirited environment, I would say. Okay. That is kind of, for me, after 15 years of working with the schools, is kind of the vibe or the spirit of or the core that I get from both schools. And I have counseled many students, and usually I don't get them mistaken, but also, given that they are sister schools, they are independent schools, but they are sister schools. There's the possibility that if a student starts in a school and feels like it's too tight, it's too corporate oriented, or it's too structured, and they prefer to try something at La Roche, they can potentially move to the other school and try if they don't fit completely comfortable. However, let me tell you that I think that I have just one case of a student has changed from one school to the other. Usually they just fall in love with their family, as I say. But yeah, so depending on, how they are personality wise, there's going to be a decision whether they want to go to one school or the other, as I mentioned already, the location. If they would like to do more outdoors activities, and they love skiing, and they love living in more remote or more isolated places, La Roche would be great. Or if they want to go to Spain, La Roche, Marbella would be great. If they would love to live in London, then Glion. So those things also play a role in the decision of what school would be a better fit for students. And also, I would say that the specialization, and that is the benefit of talking to me or talking to a counselor from the schools, which is going to present them what are the options for students from one school to the other, which is one of the main differences from both schools, not only the spirit and the core of the school, but also the specializations that they can look into in each one of the schools.
Okay, that's really good. And what would you say is the biggest myth that is kind of out there about each school?
Well, I would say that the first myth is that doesn't matter which one you go, they are both the same. So no, they are not both same, and just because of what I just spoke about. The other myth is that because they are Swiss schools, they have to be every Swiss school. is the same or they have the same quality or the same reputation. And no, not because schools come from Switzerland, they necessarily are all the same caliber or the same and the same level of quality. And I would say that that is one of the biggest myths because they have in Switzerland, there's about 27 different hospitality schools. Yes, so for being such a small country, there's a lot of hospitality schools. But the difference between all of those schools and the good schools or the ones that are going to give you the best return on your parents' investment are schools that are fully accredited and fully recognized at an international and domestic level. So between those 27 different schools, there's only three fully accredited at a bachelor's and at a master's level in Switzerland. And out of those three are La Roche and Glion. So it is important. I mean, it is important for us to mention it, or for me to mention it, because students that want to get into hospitality or want to go to Switzerland, they can look at the websites or ask ChatGPT, and they will come with so many different schools. But they need to learn how to identify which school is going to guarantee them that they are going to get a fully recognized and accredited degree, and that degree down the road when they want to do a master's program or a PhD is going to be recognized wherever they go in the world. They come back to Canada, they go to the States, they stay in Europe, and their degree from La Roche and Glion, it's going to be fully accepted. So that is one of the biggest myths from having all schools the same in Switzerland.
Yeah, and that's really good to consider for any students or families thinking about that because you do want to make sure that the school is accredited and, you know, both schools are, and they really set you up for not only if you were looking into going to postgraduate, but the career itself right away. And you can move into the management position because of all the internships and the co-ops and the skills that you've been able to build. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, and the schools have a lot of great reputation among employers, right? So if you say that you show that you come from Glion and La Roche, they pretty much open the doors to you because schools have been running for a long time to have that reputation, and students are gonna see once they graduate. Most of the general managers, CEOs, high top managers and directors are gonna come either from one of those three schools or are going to be very aware that those are the best schools because they have employees that are from those schools, right? So they are going to be very well received.
Yeah. Now, how many graduates would be having jobs waiting for them and how are the alumni connected and support students with that transition?
Of course, we have at each one of the campus, we have an internship and career office that is going to help students at each campus to help them to find their internships and later on their job placements. So they start with their internships. So that doesn't mean that that department is going to allocate any kind of internship to students. Students need to apply to the internships that they are interested on. We welcome every semester about between 150 and 200 different employers, companies to the campus, each one of the campus, to have a fair and to present the options that are open to students for their internship. So if the students do their homework and do their, really focus in what they want to do and learn about the different companies that are coming and the places where they can go and do their internships, usually they have between 3 and 4 different internships to go to and to choose from. When we are talking about job placements, because the last semester for the bachelor's program is an internship, students can choose to go into that last internship. And if their employer is happy with them, they can, continue or extend it as a job placement or as a start of their career, or they can move to a different one if there's not an opportunity for them or they want to change to a different company. Usually, graduates have 2 to 3 different job options when they graduate. I would say, and our statistics show that we have about 90, 95, up to 98 certainty of a job placement. And if of becoming 100 is because some students decide to go into their master's program right away when they graduate to the Master of Science, or they go back to a family business, right? So they are not in applying for another job because they are going to, a business, a position that it's already there for them. So I mean, in other words, we have 100% of students that have something to do right after they graduate.
Yeah, and that's really important for anybody who wants to invest in terms of the return on investment and knowing before they actually apply, is this going to be something that is going to be beneficial and are they going to have opportunities after they graduate? So that's really good to hear. Now, I only have a couple more questions. I guess the first one is, if students want to learn more about either school or connect with you, where can they go and how can they do that?
Okay. So they can email me, and my email address is cecilia.velasco, Velasco, at ecleroche.edu, or the same beginning for the Glion, cecilia.velasco at ecglion.edu. So they can email me directly. They can go on the website and request more information, and that contact will come directly to me. So I will send them back an email introducing myself and just trying to connect with them. I will send them a WhatsApp message, perhaps, if they provide a WhatsApp number, so that we can start the conversation if they want to learn more. But there's another way. We have summer programs that are offered usually for students in grade 10 or 11 or even 12 that, want to learn, or taking a gap year or not sure of what they want to do after they graduate. We have summer programs where students can go to either Switzerland and Spain, or Switzerland and London, or just Switzerland, or just one location for 1 week or 2 weeks, and try the school, see what the school has to offer to you. Meet the faculty, meet the facilities, try a few of our classes at that summer program, do outdoors activities, connect with the town, see what is going on, and see if it's something that you feel like you can, that is something that you would like to do in the future. So that is another great way of learning more about the school and experiencing the school before committing or before applying, certainly for a 4-year program.
Yeah, that's such great advice because you never know until you're actually on the campus. And once you step foot and you kind of see the experiences that our students are having, you see how the classes are going, you're able to interact with others on the campus, you can talk to professors. It's really that opportunity to see if this is the right fit for you before you make that big investment. So that's
Exactly.
great. And then the last question I have is there anything that you want to add or address that wasn't brought up in our conversation?
Well, just adding to the fact that if students want to know more or want to know about hospitality, because sometimes they don't even know what hospitality is about, right? So just to understand that it is a business degree, but instead of just seeing accounting and human resources and marketing and finance just from the dry concepts from, you know, textbooks or videos or, just information, they are going to learn how to do all of that, apply specifically to projects, to concrete projects. So they are going to know how much revenue they are getting if they sell this many meals, or if they have this many rooms occupied. So it's going to be a much more tangible and concrete way of learning business. And the other thing is that if they connect with me to learn more, I can connect them with current students, with recent graduates, with people that are in the industry that can give them so much more insight of what it's like. And my other piece of advice would be to ask questions. Ask questions not only to me, people that are working in hospitality, people that are doing business. Ask about the schools. Do research on the internet about the reputation and about what is the alumni doing right now. Go on LinkedIn. Even ask ChatGPT, what are the best schools? What can I expect from the schools that are going to help me with my career? Ask a lot of questions. That is going to be my advice for people that are looking into this kind of industry, and any kind of career.
Yeah, absolutely. Cecilia, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for all your insights. and knowledge. To all you listeners who are out there, if you have questions, please reach out to her and reach out in general, ask questions, do your research, and make sure that you are doing the school for the right fit and making sure that, with either school, you cannot go wrong with the return on investment. So, Cecilia, again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. It was a pleasure talking to you. And yeah, I'm here. If anybody has any questions, they can connect through the email, through my email address or through my phone. My phone number for messages or WhatsApp, it's 250-885-0006. Thank you, Aaron. It was a pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
Have a good night.
Thanks for tuning in to Top Shelf EDU, your inside look at the university experience. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe and share it with someone exploring their path to higher education. We'll be back with more insights, stories, and advice to help you navigate your journey. See you next time.